Have you ever stopped to consider um, those incredibly intricate, often invisible battles? The ones happening constantly around us, even, inside us.
Tiny interactions, right?
Exactly. Unseen things that profoundly shape our lives in ways we barely think about.
Uh-huh.
So today we're going on this fascinating, maybe sometimes unsettling journey into that hidden world.
A deep dive.
A proper deep dive into parasitology.
Right.
Our mission, using these foundational academic slides and also a practical guide on parasitology and dental health,
Yeah.
is really to pull back the curtain.
Yeah. See what's really going on.
What parasites truly are, how they manage these incredibly complex life cycles, and how their whole existence intersects with yours, the listener.
And you might be thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might be thinking, dental health.
Yeah.
Seriously, what on earth does that have to do with parasites?
And that's the hook, isn't it?
That's exactly where we'll uncover some, genuinely surprising connections, eye-opening stuff.
Exactly. And our aim for this deep dive is to give you a really comprehensive understanding. We want to move past just the textbook definitions.
Get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Grasp the sheer biological, ingenuity of these organisms.
Yeah.
We want to thoroughly unpack what parasites are.
Okay.
Delve into the intricate ways these often microscopic architects interact with the hosts they depend on.
Right.
And then, like you said, we'll zero in on an area you might not typically link with this field. Your oral health.
It sounds like a fascinating bridge.
It really is. Between fundamental biology and these very specific practical health points that, honestly, could change how you think about your next dental checkup.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
We hear the term parasite thrown around quite a bit, but what exactly is medical parasitology? Where do we even begin?
Well, okay, according to our sources, medical parasitology is basically a specialized branch. It's part of microbiology.
Microbiology.
And its core focus is studying microorganisms, specifically things like protozoa and helminths.
Right, the tiny guys and the worms.
Exactly. And these are organisms that live in or on another organism, the host.
Got it.
Now, the absolutely critical part of this definition, the thing that really defines it, is that they get their nutrients at the host's expense.
Okay. So it's not friendly.
Definitely not friendly. It's not mutualism. It's a relationship where one benefits the parasite and the other the host. Well, it invariably pays a price.
The price. Sometimes a big one.
Sometimes a very significant one, yeah. This isn't just, a casual imbalance. Think of it as an evolutionary masterpiece of exploitation.
Wow. Exploitation.
Every adaptation we'll talk about today, it's fine-tuned for the parasite's survival at the cost of its host. It shows this stark biological efficiency.
So it's not just a casual roommate situation where maybe one person eats all the snacks, right?
Yeah.
There's a clear, almost predatory imbalance here.
Predatory is a good word for it, actually.
What does our material tell us about the fundamental nature of this host-parasite relationship? Because it sounds inherently one-sided from the get-go.
You've really hit on the key point. It is fundamentally a one-way street. The parasite gains something absolutely crucial: nutrients, shelter, a place to reproduce.
Whatever it needs.
Exactly. And the host is invariably harmed. Whether that harm is subtle, maybe chronic, or acutely severe, sometimes even life-threatening.
Okay.
Our sources emphasize that the host, in this deal, is typically the larger organism. It provides the environment, the food, and often, really importantly, protection from the outside world.
Like a living house and pantry.
Sort of, yeah. And this branch of study then looks at the whole spectrum of these parasites. We look at their morphology, how they look, their structure, even how they move.
Okay, what they look like.
Their life cycle, how they grow, develop through different stages, often involving these incredibly complex journeys.
Right, their whole life story.
And their pathogenesis, which basically explains the intricate ways they cause disease or damage to the host.
And it seems like this academic stuff isn't just theory, is it? Our sources say this deep dive will cover the real-world side, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Things like how they're transmitted, how we prevent them, treatments, how doctors figure out you have them, diagnosis.
Definitely. It's about understanding the basic biology so we can actually tackle the real, often devastating health challenges these organisms pose all over the world.
So it's very practical.
Hugely practical. From a public health view, the more we get their biology, the better we are at managing them, mitigating their impact.
Now, when many of us think parasites, we might picture something pretty specific. Maybe, a tick you find after a hike.
Or something less pleasant, maybe a worm.
Exactly. But our sources immediately say, hold on, there's incredible diversity here. far beyond those common ideas.
Oh, definitely.
So let's really dive into the many faces of parasites.
Mm-hmm.
What are the different classes and types we need to get our heads around to grasp the true scope?
Right. This is where taxonomy comes in, the systematic study of life.
Classifying things.
Exactly. Organisms, including parasites, get classified into these hierarchical groups called taxa, and it's based on what we can see their phenotype.
They're observable traits.
Right. And critically now, in modern biology, their genetic similarities and differences, their genotype.
Their DNA instruction manual.
That's a great way to put it. And historically, life was just plants and animals. Simple.
Right.
Then we move through systems like 5 kingdoms, Monera, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, Animalia.
Remember that from school?
Yeah. But the current understanding, based on deep genetics, puts all cellular life into 3 big domains: archaea, bacteria, and eukarya.
Okay, 3 main branches.
And parasitic organisms. They fall into various spots within these domains. And then you've got even weirder things like viruses and prions.
Viruses, yeah.
While maybe not parasites in the strictest sense we're defining today, they certainly act like parasitic agents. They absolutely need a host to exist and replicate.
So phenotype is what we see, and genotype is the hidden code. That makes sense. And this family tree is always being updated, it sounds like.
Constantly refined as genetics tells us more, yeah.
So within that massive evolving tree, what are the main broad categories of parasites that are medically important? What do our sources highlight?
Okay, our sources point to 3 primary broad categories that really matter medically. First up, protozoa.
Protozoal.
These are fascinating. They're unicellular, single-celled, eukaryotic microorganisms.
Eukaryotic meaning they have a nucleus, like our...
Exactly. More complex internal structure than bacteria. And when we talk medical protozoa, we mean important genera like entamoeba. Causes amoebiasis, a nasty diarrheal disease.
Right.
Giardia causes giardiasis, another very common diarrheal illness. Beaver fever.
Heard of that one.
Leishmania, responsible for leishmaniasis, disfiguring, sometimes deadly diseases. Plasmodium, the big one, causes malaria, affects hundreds of millions.
Malaria, of course.
Trypanosoma, leads to things like Chagas disease in the Americas, African sleeping sickness, devastating stuff.
Wow.
And Trichomonas, a very common cause of the STI trichomoniasis. Now, it's crucial to know, within protozoa, some are commensals, meaning they live harmlessly with the host, just kind of coexist, while others are potent pathogens, disease causers. Big difference.
Okay, commensals versus pathogens, got it. What's next?
Next up, helminths. These are totally different. Multicellular parasitic worms.
The worms. Okay. Macroscopic. Can we see them?
Many of them, yes, visible to the naked eye. Our sources split them into 3 main types. First, nematodes, roundworms.
Roundworms, like...
Pinworms, super common in kids. Ascaris, a big intestinal roundworm. Trichinella causes trichinosis from undercooked meat. Strongyloids. And Wucheria causes lymphatic filariasis, elephantiasis.
Elephantiasis, wow. And they're round because...
Because they're literally round in cross-section.
Yes.
Cylindrical, long, tapering at the ends.
Okay, second type of helminth.
Trematodes, often called flatworms or flukes.
Flukes, okay.
Typically leaf-shaped or oval. Schistosoma is a major one, causes schistosomiasis or snail fever, a chronic, debilitating disease affecting millions.
Snail fever. Because snails are involved.
Yeah, exactly. Snails are the intermediate host. We'll get to that.
Okay, and the third type?
Cestodes. Tapeworms.
Tapeworm.
Also flatworms, but these are segmented, like a long, flat ribbon. Can be incredibly long. The beef tapeworm is a classic example.
How long were we talking?
Meters long, potentially. Inside you.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. Protozoa, helminths. What was the third broad category?
The third group is arthropods.
Insects and spiders and things.
Exactly. Specifically, blood-sucking insects like mosquitoes, ticks, mites, flies, lice. Their main role in parasitology is often as vectors.
Vectors, like
Carriers. Precisely. They transmit various microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, other parasites to humans, leading to arthropod-borne diseases. The sources mention the Aedes albopictus mosquito as a vector for dengue fever, for example.
Okay, so it's this huge spectrum. Microscopic single cells, massive worms, and even insects playing a role. Astonishing variety.
Truly is.
Now, our sources get even more specific. They talk about classifications like ectoparasites and endoparasites. Can you walk us through those? It sounds like it's about where they live.
You got it. These classifications are really key because they describe the relationship based on physical location. An ectoparasite lives attached to the outside of the host.
Ecto, outside. like ticks.
Exactly. Think external invaders. Outer parasites, they usually feed by sucking body fluids, causes irritation, itching, maybe allergic reactions.
Yeah, they carry other things.
Critically, yes. Many act as vectors, biological taxis, you could say, for other pathogens. Examples from the sources: ticks carrying Lyme disease, mites causing scabies, lice, bed bugs, fleas,
Right.
and reinforcing that vector role. Human lice, rat fleas, mosquitoes, tsetse flies, all notorious disease carriers.
Okay, so ecto is outside. Endo must be.
Inside. Endoparasites live inside the host, but even within that, our sources make further distinctions based on their lifestyle, their dependence.
Okay, layers within layers.
Exactly. First, obligate parasites. These guys strictly require a host to complete their life cycle. No host, no life, no reproduction.
Like viruses.
Viruses are a perfect example of obligate intracellular parasites. They must get inside living host cells to multiply. They literally hijack the cell's machinery.
Okay, obligate means they have no choice.
What else? Facultative parasites? These are interesting. They can actually live independently, free living in the environment.
Oh, so they don't need a host.
Not necessarily, but they have the capability to become parasitic if the opportunity arises. The source gives Naegleria as an example.
The brain-eating amoeba.
That's the one. Usually lives free in water, but if it accidentally gets into a human, often through the nose, it can cause a devastating brain infection. Facultative, it can be a parasite.
Scary. Okay, what's next?
Accidental parasite. This is one that normally infects a different host species, but through some fluke or weird exposure, it accidentally infects humans.
For the wrong address.
Pretty much. Echinococcus is the example given, causes hydatid disease. Humans aren't its usual target, but if we ingest the eggs, often from dog feces, it can cause serious cysts.
Okay, accidental. One more.
Wandering parasite. This refers to larvae that migrate abnormally within the host.
They get lost.
Kind of. Instead of going to their usual target organ or tissue, they end up somewhere else during their development. This can cause damage or inflammation in unexpected places.
Like what?
The term larva migrans describes this, like cutaneous larva migrans, where dog or cat hookworm larvae burrow under human skin, leaving itchy tracks. They're wandering, looking for a place they won't find in us.
That's incredibly detailed. It's like a whole hidden society of biological dependence, each with its own strategy.
Different ways to exploit a host, yeah.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Our sources have great details on how these invaders, micro and macro, actually move and look. Their morphology, can you paint a picture? It's almost like alien life inside us.
Absolutely. Morphology is key to how they survive and interact. Let's start with protozoa. Their classification is often tied directly to how they move.
How they get around.
Right, so you have amoeboids, like Entamoeba. Picture a single cell flowing, extending parts of itself, pseudopodia, false feet to move, like a blob engulfing things.
Constantly changing shape.
Exactly. Then ciliates, like Ballantidium coli. They use lots of short, hair-like cilia, beating together in waves. Allows for faster directed movement, like a tiny boat with hundreds of oars.
Okay, cilia.
Then flagellates, like Giardia or Trypanosoma. They use one or more long, whip-like flagella, like tiny propellers, beating in patterns.
Flagella, like little tails.
Yeah. And finally, sporozoa, or coccidians. This group includes Plasmodium, Malaria, and Cryptosporidium. They're typically non-modal as adults. No special structures for movement.
So how do they spread?
They often rely on host currents, like blood flow, or get released when infected cells burst. Their strategy is more about intricate cellular invasion than active swimming.
Clever. Okay, that's protozoa. What about the worms, the helminths?
For helminths, it's more about their overall shape and structure, often visible. Our sources give good descriptions. Nematodes, the roundworms like ascaris or pinworms. Cylindrical, elongated, tapering at both ends. Round in cross-section. Ascaris, for instance, can look like an earthworm, maybe 20, 35 centimeters long.
That long? Wow.
Living in your intestine for maybe a year or two. They have a full digestive tract, separate males and females.
Okay, roundworms. Then the flatworms.
Two types of flatworms. Cestodes, the tapeworms. Distinctly flat, segmented like a long ribbon. Can be incredibly long beef tapeworm, Taenius agenator, up to 4 to 12 meters in humans. Meters. They attach with a head end, the scolex, which has suckers, maybe hooks, and they just absorb nutrients right through their body surface. No mouth needed.
Efficient in a creepy way. And the other flatworms?
Trematodes, the flukes, also flat but usually unsegmented, leaf-shaped or oval, like schistosoma. They have suckers to attach to tissues like gut walls or blood vessels, generally smaller, maybe millimeters to a few centimeters.
So you can almost picture these tiny organisms wiggling or pushing their way around inside or on us, or these huge worms just occupying space.
It definitely gives a new, sometimes unsettling perspective on that hidden world, doesn't it?
It really does.
And these different adaptations for movement and form, absolutely critical for how they navigate, evade defenses, and exploit their hosts. It's pure natural selection at work.
Okay, understanding what they are, how they look, how they move, that's one thing. But how do they actually live? How do they reproduce? Our sources mention life cycles and different types of hosts. Sounds fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental. The life cycle is basically the whole, often incredibly complex, journey of a parasite. Growing, developing, reproducing, ensuring the species continues,
Sure.
often involving multiple stages and sometimes, critically, different host organisms in a specific order. To get these cycles, we need to define the roles of these hosts.
Right, the players involved.
So a host generally is just the organism harboring the parasite. Usually bigger, provides shelter, food, the right environment.
The living home.
Then, an intermediate host. This one harbors the larvae, or the asexual stage. The parasite develops here, maybe molts or multiplies asexually, but doesn't reach sexual maturity.
The developmental stopover.
Exactly, like snails for schistosoma. Then the final host, or definitive host. This is where the parasite becomes an adult, reproduces sexually. The main event, biologically speaking.
Okay.
For many human parasites, we are the definitive hosts. But for malaria, Plasmodium, the mosquito is the definitive host where sexual reproduction happens. Humans are intermediate.
Interesting twist. Okay, what other hosts?
A reservoir host. This is usually an animal, often wild, that maintains the infection in nature. It might not get sick itself, but it keeps the parasite going, potentially spreading it to humans.
Like a living backup supply.
Kind of, yeah. Rodents can be reservoirs for leishmania, for example, makes eradication harder.
Right.
And finally, a paratenic host, sometimes called a transport host. The parasite stays alive, infectious, but doesn't develop further. It's just a vehicle.
Like a taxi.
Exactly. Carrying the parasite from one host to another without the parasite changing inside it. Maybe a fish carrying tapeworm larvae that don't develop until the fish is eaten by the definitive host.
This is where it gets incredibly complex, isn't it? A parasite might need this specific sequence of creatures, specific conditions, different hosts, just to complete its journey.
It's like a meticulously choreographed biological relay race.
Wow.
And understanding these paths is absolutely key to control. It shows us where we can intervene. Our sources then boil down the life cycle types into two main kinds based on host numbers.
Okay.
A direct life cycle needs only one host, no intermediate. Goes straight from host to host of the same species, or environment to host. Think pinworms ingest the eggs directly.
Did the one up?
Relatively. Then an indirect life cycle needs more than one host type. An intermediate and a definitive host are required to complete the cycle.
More complex?
Adds layers of complexity, but also, critically, more points where we can try to break the cycle for public health, like targeting mosquitoes and treating humans for malaria.
Right. Attack multiple points. Okay, so they're diverse, they have complex lives, complex journeys, but ultimately, when they cause disease, when they're pathogenics, how do they do it? What are the mechanisms of pathogenesis? It feels like it's more complex than just eating you alive.
That's a crucial point, and you're right. The harm is often way more nuanced. Parasites cause disease through lots of sophisticated ways. Our sources highlight some general virulence factors.
Virulent factors, like their weapons.
Sort of, yeah. They're traits or strategies that let them cause disease and thrive. Things like invasiveness, ability to enter tissues, spread, bypass defenses,
Getting into moving around.
ability for adhesion to host surfaces, sticking where they need to be, not getting washed away.
Okay.
And importantly, toxin production, making substances that directly damage host cells or mess up normal body processes.
So invasion, sticking, and toxins. What are some specific effects?
Okay, let's detail some specific ways they harm hosts using examples from the sources. One big category is mechanical effects.
Physical damage.
Right. This can mean directly entering cells. Some protozoa have to live inside host cells, like Plasmodium in red blood cells. They multiply inside, use up resources, and eventually rupture the cell.
Releasing more parasites.
Exactly. And that cyclical rupture is what causes the fevers and chills in malaria as the body reacts.
Okay. What else mechanical?
Migration or penetration of tissues. A really vivid example is larvae of hookworm or Ascaris. After getting in, they can go on this incredible journey.
Through the body.
Yeah, through the bloodstream to the lungs. Then they actually penetrate the capillary walls to get into the air sacs, the alveoli.
Wow.
This migration causes inflammation in the lung pneumonitis, coughing, wheezing. Imagine microscopic things burrowing through delicate lung tissue.
That's intense.
Then there's blockage and pressure.
Yeah.
Just the physical bulk of parasites, especially worms, can cause huge problems. A large mass of Ascaris worms can physically block your intestine.
Leading to
Severe digestive issues, pain, even a life-threatening obstruction needing surgery. Or even more dramatically, a hydatid cyst.
the echinococcus thing.
Yeah, the larval stage. It can grow hugely in organs like the liver or lungs, sometimes reaching 1 to 2 liters in volume.
Like a big soda bottle inside you.
Exactly. And that massive growth exerts huge mechanical pressure, damaging surrounding organs, causing pain, displacing healthy tissue,
Just by being there and growing?
just by its physical presence. Beyond mechanical harm, there are also toxic and allergic effects.
Okay.
Many parasites produce toxins or waste products that directly damage host cells or disrupt functions, causes inflammation, organ damage.
Direct chemical warfare.
Pretty much. Plus, the host's own immune system can cause damage. Parasite metabolites, secretions, excretions, they act as antigens.
Foreign signals to the immune system.
Right. They trigger the immune system, leading to inflammation, sometimes severe hypersensitivity reactions. The sources give a dramatic example. If a hydatid cyst ruptures.
Oh no.
Spontaneously or during surgery, it causes a sudden massive release of fluids, antigens, waste products into the bloodstream.
And the body reacts how?
It can trigger severe, life-threatening anaphylaxis, rapid drop in blood pressure, shock, breathing problems, potentially death. It shows how the body's own response can be incredibly dangerous.
Wow, the immune system turning against you.
In a way, yes. Another insidious mechanism is depriving the host of essential substances. Classic example, hookworms.
How do they do that?
They attach to the intestinal lining with sharp mouthparts and feed directly on the host's blood and nutrients. A heavy infection leads to chronic blood loss.
Causing anemia.
Exactly. Iron deficiency anemia, severe malnutrition over time. They're literally stealing your resources, debilitating you slowly.
That's grim.
And finally, the sources briefly mention the effect of hosts on parasites, immunity. Yeah. Just acknowledging that the host does fight back. It's a constant battle, an arms race.
The parasite trying to evade, the host trying to eliminate.
Precisely. What's fascinating here, as you hinted earlier, is that the harm isn't always just direct consumption, though that happens. It's often these subtle yet profound disruptions. The mechanical interference, the blockages, the toxic junk they release, or the immune system's own, sometimes destructive overreaction. It's way more multifaceted than just eating you alive.
Exactly. It's a complex biological dance, and the disease often comes from these subtle but deep disruptions. So if these are the many ways parasites harm us, how do they actually get into us? Or from one host to another? Our sources list several transmission routes. Sounds like crucial info for prevention.
Absolutely crucial. Understanding how they spread is key for any control strategy. Each pathway needs a different approach. Our sources highlight several main routes.
Okay, what are they?
First, congenital transmission, from mother to child.
During pregnancy.
Either during pregnancy, crossing the placenta, or during birth. Toxoplasma gondii is a well-known example, can cause severe issues if transmitted congenitally.
Okay, mother to child.
Next, contact transmission. Direct physical contact, skin to skin, like scabies mites crawling from person to person.
Or touching things.
Can also be indirect contact with contaminated surfaces, but maybe less common for many parasites compared to, say, viruses.
Right.
A really big one. Transmission through ingestion. Consuming contaminated food or water containing the parasite, or its eggs or cysts.
Like Giardia in water.
Exactly. Or undercooked meat with trichinella larvae or tapeworm cysts. Food safety and sanitation are huge here.
Makes sense. Keep going.
Soil transmission. Exposure to parasite eggs or larvae in contaminated soil. Big issue in areas with poor sanitation where feces contaminate the ground.
And people get exposed how?
Kids playing, people walking barefoot. Hookworm larvae, for example, can penetrate skin directly from soil.
Yikes. Okay, one more.
Arthropod transmission, via vectors. Arthropods like mosquitoes, ticks, fleas.
The carriers we talked about.
Right. They bite an infected host, pick up the parasite, then bite a new host and transmit it. Malaria via Anopheles mosquitoes is the devastating global example. Dengue via Aedes is another.
It really highlights how many sophisticated ways these organisms have to find a new home, to keep their species going.
It's like they have an entire strategy guidebook for getting around.
It really seems like it.
And each route, as I said, poses unique challenges for public health, requires targeted interventions.
Okay, given all this complexity, their diversity, tricky life cycles, the ways they harm us, how they spread, how do doctors actually figure out if you have a parasitic infection? And what do they do about it? What about diagnosis and treatment?
Yeah, diagnosis can be tricky. Symptoms are often nonspecific, and you need specialized lab techniques. Our sources outline two main diagnostic methods.
What's the first?
Microscopic examination. This is direct identification, still a cornerstone. Really good for intestinal parasites like protozoal diarrhea or worms. They look at wet films of concentrated fecal samples under a microscope, searching for the parasites themselves, motile protozoa, or their dormant cysts, or, critically, helminth over the eggs.
Worm eggs.
Yeah, they have distinctive shapes and sizes, unique to each species, helps identify exactly what it is. For blood parasites like Plasmodium, they look at blood smears for parasites inside red cells.
See's believing.
Often, yes, seeing the parasite or its eggs is definitive proof.
Okay, what's the second method?
Serological investigations. These are indirect tests, usually detecting specific antibodies your immune system produces in response to the infection.
Looking for the body's reaction.
Exactly, like immunological footprints. Useful when the parasite itself is hard to find, maybe in deep tissues, or for things like toxoplasmosis. Or, alternatively, these tests can detect parasite-specific antigens.
Actual bits of the parasite.
Yeah, components or molecules of the parasite itself in patient samples. That suggests an active infection.
Okay, microscope or blood tests, basically. And once they know what it is, treatment.
Treatment varies a lot. Depends on the parasite, the stage, how bad the infection is, the patient's health. But the main strategy is antiparasitic drugs.
Specific drugs for specific parasites.
Yes, pharmacological agents designed to target and kill the parasites, hopefully without harming the host too much. They disrupt the parasite's unique metabolism or structure.
Getting examples.
Our sources mention metronidazole. Now, it's important to know metronidazole is broad spectrum, used for some protozoa like Giardia and Trichomonas, but also for certain bacterial infections, anaerobic ones, shows its wide use.
Okay, so not just for parasites.
Right. But other drugs are more specific, albendazole for worms, chloroquine for malaria, and so on. The key is selectivity, kill the parasite, spare the host.
So identifying the specific culprit, microscopic evidence, or immune response is step one. Then hit it with targeted treatments. Sounds like a sophisticated game of hide and seek, then attack.
It really is. And often the earlier and more accurate the detection, the better the outcome, preventing serious illness or death.
Okay, now, for the big aha moment. The thing that ties this all together for you, our listener. Why does parasitology, this whole deep dive into tiny, complex organisms, actually matter for something that seems totally separate? Like your dental health.
Yeah, this connection might not leap out at you when you're sitting in the dental chair.
Right.
This raises an important question. Why would a dentist need to know about malaria or tapeworms? Well, the connection, according to our sources, comes through two main paths, and they're more linked than you'd think.
Okay, path one.
Firstly, and this is crucial, oral manifestations can actually be early indicators of systemic infections, including those caused by various pathogens, potentially parasites too.
Wait, things showing up in your mouth could signal a problem elsewhere.
Exactly. Changes or lesions in your mouth, gums, tongue, inside your cheeks can sometimes be the very first visible signs that something's wrong deeper in your body, maybe systemic parasitic infection before you feel anything else. So, dental professionals need a detailed understanding of clinical oral microbiology, all the microbes in the mouth, to help spot these signs, aid diagnosis, as part of overall patient care.
So they're not just looking at teeth.
They're looking at your whole mouth as a potential window into your general health. The mouth becomes like a diagnostic frontier.
So your dentist might literally be seeing clues about stuff going on elsewhere in your body.
Yeah.
Maybe something you haven't even felt yet. That's a powerful thought.
It really is.
And are there actually specific parasites found in the mouth itself?
Yes, surprisingly. Our sources specifically named two oral protozoa, Entomoeba gingivalis and Trichomonas tenax.
Protozoa, living in plaque.
They've been seen in microscopic studies of plaque samples, yeah. Especially from patients with poor oral hygiene and gum disease, periodontal disease.
That is a surprising fact. Protozoa in my mouth. Are they harmful there?
It's a great question. What does their presence mean? Our sources clarify that while they're found there, their exact role in causing oral disease isn't clear. They're generally considered harmless saprophytes, meaning they live off decaying stuff, cell debris, bacteria, and the plaque. They don't directly cause cavities or gum disease like bacteria do.
So why are they there?
Well, their presence, especially in higher numbers, might be an indicator. It suggests an environment of poor hygiene, a disturbed oral ecosystem, maybe inflammation from other causes. They thrive in those conditions.
So like a signpost for other problems.
Could be. Opportunistic residents, maybe? Or even biological markers of an unhealthy mouth environment. Their existence just reminds us the mouth is this incredibly complex ecosystem way beyond just bacteria.
Okay, so those two are in the mouth. What about the systemic ones, like malaria, leishmaniasis, worms? Do they show up in the mouth or pose risks in the dental office?
That's where the sources draw a distinction. They discuss the general disease process and diagnosis for malaria, leishmaniasis, giardiasis, helminths, like we covered. But they explicitly state they do not detail specific oral signs or direct transmission risks in a dental setting for these groups.
Unlike for bacteria or viruses like HIV.
Exactly. For those, the dental implications are well documented. For these systemic parasites, the direct link in terms of specific mouth sores caused by malaria or catching a worm from a dental tool isn't really outlined in our material.
Okay, but there's always a but.
However,
Right.
the general principle is vital. Systemic health profoundly impacts oral health. Any severe systemic infection, parasitic or not, could have major indirect oral implications.
How so?
Well, a patient with a severe parasitic infection might be immunocompromised. That directly affects healing after dental work, makes them prone to oral infections, might mean delaying treatment.
Right.
Or the drugs used to treat the parasite might have oral side effects like dry mouth, which increases cavity risk. So while you probably won't catch malaria from the drill, a dentist knowing about your broader health, including potential parasitic infections, is crucial for safe, comprehensive care.
Okay, so even if direct transmission of the parasites isn't the main worry in the dental chair, understanding them still reinforces why infection control is so critical everywhere, right?
Yeah.
How does this deep dive strengthen that need?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, absolutely. While many parasitic infections don't spread easily in dental settings like blood-borne viruses do, the core principle of standard infection control precautions, or SICPs, is paramount.
SICPs, standard precautions.
Right. This principle says all patients and their body fluids except sweat should be treated as potentially infectious.
Treat everyone the same, assume risk.
Exactly. This universal approach really ramped up the rigor of infection control in dentistry. It wasn't always this strict. It was largely driven by the emergence of serious infections like HIV back in the 80s. Led to a huge shift to protect staff and patients from any potential pathogen.
So the procedures protect against everything.
That's the goal. Even if the dentist isn't specifically worried about, say, plasmodium being transmitted, the strict cleaning, sterilization, barrier use gloves, masks, sterile instruments, disinfectants are designed to stop any potential pathogen. It's about a universally safe environment.
Makes sense.
And you also have unique challenges, like prions.
The misfolded proteins.
Yeah, causing neurodegenerative diseases. They show incredible resistance to normal sterilization. So for instruments touching nerve tissue, like dental pulp in root canals, you need special precautions, maybe even disposable tools.
Wow, things that even autoclaves might not kill.
It highlights the seriousness of infection control. Ultimately, dental professionals need to be incredibly well informed on this stuff, which is rooted in microbiology and by extension parasitology, to protect everyone and to effectively address patient concerns about safety. It builds trust.
So even if you're just going in for a routine cleaning, your dental team is thinking about this whole spectrum. Protozoa, bacteria, viruses, even prions. All to keep everyone safe. Really shows the deep knowledge needed, even for seemingly simple procedures.
Absolutely. That unseen world informs everything they do. It's constant vigilance and applied biology.
What an incredible journey today, seriously. From defining medical parasitology, exploring that amazing diversity, microscopic protozoa wiggling, macroscopic worms like roundworms and tapeworms.
Categorized by looks and lifestyle.
Right. Delving into their complex life cycles, how they use intermediate and definitive hosts in that biological relay race.
And the surprising ways they cause harm.
Yeah, mechanical effects, toxins, triggering our own immune system. Then exploring how they get around all those transmission routes and how we detect and treat them.
A lot to cover.
And finally, uncovering that crucial, maybe unexpected connection to your dental health. how the mouth can show signs of systemic disease, and how it all reinforces the vital importance of infection control everywhere.
What's truly fascinating here is how this field, parasitology, which might seem niche, profoundly connects to broader health, including that surprising bridge to dentistry through oral signs and, critically, those universal principles of infection control. It really shows how interconnected everything is: biology, public health.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Well, next time you hear about an infection, maybe think about your own oral hygiene. Consider this unseen world we've explored, these intricate, hidden biological battles happening constantly within us, around us, shaping health in ways we're just starting to fully grasp. It kind of reframes how we see health, doesn't it?
It really does. Not separate systems, but this interconnected biological tapestry.
Where even a small thread might signal a bigger issue.
Which raises an important question. How does a deeper understanding of these fundamental biological interactions, even the unpleasant ones, shift your perspective on public health, on personal well-being, and what other seemingly unrelated fields might hold surprising invisible connections to your daily health? The world is full of these hidden links, just waiting if we know how and where to look.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and stay well informed.